Okay, and we are live. Good morning, a good day. I never quite know how to start these things because some people are going to be watching this live, and then you may find this a year down the road, and it's exactly what you need in that moment, due to the law of attraction. At any rate, my name is Tiffany Hillcook, and I run a spiritual practice called the Healing Hill. And I started getting these nudges about a year ago. That's how long, I had to put some parts of my ego aside, some fear, just lack of worthiness around, if some is what I'm creating going to have value. But I started getting these nudges to create light so others can share their light, if that makes any sense. And it's in the form of going live on YouTube and specifically doing these live channeled readings. My hope is that it creates some sort of aha moment in you. There's everything is connected. So if you are connecting to Nicola, that's who we're going to be meeting with today. If you find yourself watching this, I can guarantee there's something in the messaging that she's receiving that is going to be relevant in your life as well. So if you wouldn't mind saying hello, Nicola, and maybe saying a few things about yourself.
Okay, well, good evening, because it's 8 p.m. where I am in the UK. So I am a mum and a wife, and I have a couple of jobs. One of my jobs, I work from home and send out kids' craft toys via the internet, and then I also work in a school. And I've been doing a channeling course in the background of all of that. With Michael Sheridan and the Ashlyn School. I must admit, something that I'd like to cover with you today is that I've struggled with that. I unfortunately haven't found that my gifts have come as easily as other people. So I've been doing it for about a year now and struggling. But I love it. It's my world. I just feel very jealous of other people who it comes quite naturally to. It's difficult when you're sat there just, I wish it would come to me.
Yeah. There is, thank you so much for sharing. There is, if you're watching, a little bit of a lag in your camera. I can hear you perfectly fine. It's just that there's a little bit of a delay.
Okay.
Well,
sorry about that.
Oh no, it's you know what I really wanted to make sure that I had with this channel is that if somebody's dog is barking or their video is lagging or their child needs to come up and say hello, that this is life unfolding authentically, and I can tell when something isn't authentic because I lived a lot of years of inauthenticity. So no worries there whatsoever. We are going to be a-okay. Okay, so let's start here. We're going to get into the reading, but let's see, where do we want to start? There's a few different trains of thought that are coming through, but I'm going to start with this one. I don't know if your dreams have discerned your, what would I want to say this? How do I want to say this? Sometimes in our dreams, they can be discerned if we are at a certain level of soul evolution. Like some people are guides that are reincarnated. Some individuals are angels. And so I'm curious, have your dreams ever gone into that for you?
Yeah, I've had a few nines come up.
Okay.
So I don't know if that's something. Yeah, I think Michael said about that being sort of you're towards the end of your need to reincarnate.
Yeah, it's completion. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that very well may be true, but I'm getting more of the fact that I don't think, I know that we can't ever truly experience ourselves, right? Like we can only see a reflection of ourselves. Even when people share sometimes, like you shared something lovely about to me and the way that I impact you prior to us going live. And I felt it so deeply in my heart. I don't expect it whatsoever, but I don't necessarily see that in myself, but you see the what you shared with me in me. And so they just really want to point out that they're like, I keep getting angel, angel, angel. There is an angelic quality to being around you. So it's like no wonder you work with children, because there's this Sensitive, very sensitive. You're a highly sensitive person, and I am too. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I'm so thankful that I'm built that way. Um, but there's just a natural nurturing to your essence, and I just want to highlight that for you, because I don't know if there's maybe um, the energy I get is that maybe sometimes, and we can all do this, but maybe you can be a little hard on yourself. And maybe, and not even necessarily hard on yourself, but you just don't see the power and beauty that you are. And so that your spirit team just really wants to emphasize that. And even they bring up, like, maybe there's something like with your child that you miss one day. And when I say miss, it's just something just feels off the whole day. It's like you can't quite, they're crying all day, or again, whatever it is, you just can't get caught up with the laundry. Like, the day is just in a miss, and you're like, what am I doing wrong? The answer is absolutely nothing. And just remember, what you perceive to be experiencing isn't actually a lot of the reality anyway, around the negativity that your ego creates. You create such a loving and nurturing and patient environment. And can I get a little bit more information here? Can I get a little bit more information here? I'm going to speak this. I don't know if it's true just yet, but it was planted. Is that, yeah, it is. Okay, so just know that how they're describing it is that sometimes you can feel the essence of your mother. There can be some components of, or maybe manifestations in your behavior that you perceive as your mother. And I'm getting that maybe your mother wasn't super patient. I don't know who your mother is, but I'm getting that maybe there's a little bit of a sense of urgency associated to asks or tasks, or even like just her sharing how to do something. And it's like, you should just know how to do the dishes. I showed you once. But maybe you didn't know how to where to put those pots away because you didn't use it that night you did dinner. Just know that you are altering some ancestral energy as well, with your experience as a mother, and you're altering some energies there. And that, whenever you feel, when you're in the observer chair and you feel that energy of your mother, the first thing you can say is, I give that energy back. That energy is not mine. But also, they just want you to be like, in that moment that you start to observe your mother's energy, or maybe an energy that you just don't necessarily want in a behavior, is actually repeat out loud what you are observing your behavior to be. Because what I actually see happening is, what you think you're doing isn't actually what you think you're doing. And so your ego is being really hard on you when you're not actually even portraying that trait. And I'll give you an example. The other day at work, I wait tables in the evenings, and um, where I work, I've never worked at a place where there's the least amount of gossip in my life. Like, truly, for a hospitality or a restaurant, there's just a lot of bickering that happens. Like, the cooks are mad at the front of the house. There can just be a lot of complaining. And I made a rule one day, because I felt like I was on the receiving end of a lot of it. And so I made a rule. I said, no matter how harsh I sound, if somebody complains tonight, I'm just going to say, I don't accept it. And this was like 2 months ago. And just this past week, this gal, Julie, she goes, I think about that moment like daily almost. And I said, I'm sorry I was so harsh in the delivery of that. I didn't know how, it kept building and building. And she goes, Tiffany, you weren't harsh at all. It was a really gentle delivery. And I was like, holy shit. So, like, how I thought I was giving this information was actually the opposite of how it was received. And that's what they're saying, is that a way in which your ego has manifested is that it tells you a story about who you are when it's not even the truth. So just know that. So I don't know, is there kind of like an idea recently that you've had around, like, maybe being like not the best human, or not the best mom, or what would
I've even written it down to speak to you about motherhood and how I've struggled with it. I'm tearing up, so sorry if my voice cracks, but I wanted my baby, we tried for 2 years. So I'm so blessed that we have her. And that wasn't a long time. I know people try for a lot longer and still don't have their baby. Mm-hmm. And I cry over the fact that I feel like I'm bullied by her now. She's only, well, she's going to be 3 next week, and it's difficult. It's really difficult. And when you said about I've got this quality, I think I'm not like that with my child. I can be like it with the children at school because they're older. I work with teens. But I can't, toddlers, I'm just struggling so much. And I know I'll come into my own when she gets older. But it really resonates when you said you went straight onto motherhood. And I thought for you to say that, I don't feel like I'm like that with her. And it's really nice to hear it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm so glad that resonated. When I get these messages, a lot of times I have no idea how they're going to connect on your end. Again, it's just I don't want to say it just doesn't have the emotional. It's not for me, so the messages aren't going to resonate like they do for you. So I'm glad that connected. And the other thing too that I do get with your daughter is part of your relationship. I will say, both of you to one another, there is a bit of a triggering quality. So I don't know if it's the way that you ask her to do something or she asks you to do something. Just know that part of your relationship is to help one another grow. So that will be an intertwining of this relationship. That's just there's just some folks that you're around and they're just the way they ask it, there's just I just get that there's a little bit of a triggering quality, so that you can both heal that aspect of yourself, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Okay, beautiful.
Thank you.
Yes, like I even get okay, the way that they're describing it, and I get that she's a human and not a cat, but I literally see an image of a cat, and I don't know if you ever watch where it's like cats knocking shit off of tables, but literally it's like watching you, and she's just like, boop, like, I'm just gonna do this anyway, boop. There's a mischievous component to her personality. Yeah.
Also, she is obsessed with cats, so that's really interesting.
I love that. Okay, cool. So let's see. Now they are moving me to your gifts now, and there's a few things that come up with that dimension of yourself, and I chose. Give me just a moment. I chose that word specifically, dimension, because sometimes, myself included, I can think of spirituality as all that I am or all that I need to be, because I know that the soul is infinite and my mind and body are temporary. That being said, I'm still in this moment, in this trilogy or triad of mind, body, soul. So there's other aspects of my life that are going to present themselves that aren't necessarily directly spiritual. And why I say that is, I get that there may be, so for starters as well, they want to make sure for you to understand that life is full of seasons. And sometimes seasons can be like literally a month, and other times seasons can be 18 years. And other times, so there's these seasons of life where we take on different roles that we committed to, contracted to prior to incarnating. And so what we do today may not even be the same thing. Well, it will not be the same thing as we do tomorrow. Even if we perceive it to be the exact same day, history never repeats itself. It just looks eerily similar. And so where your focus is, I see more of, is being a wife or a partner and being a mother. But I want to be really clear. There's a part of your ego that tells yourself, this is all I'm going to do. Is this all that I was born to do, was to do these two things? And they want you, when that happens, kind of like we talked about earlier, ask yourself in the moment, what are you doing? Because the example that really resonated with me years ago was a book I was reading by Eckhart Tolle called A New Earth, Awakening Your Life's Purpose or Soul's Purpose. And he would meet with people and they would say, am I just supposed to work all the time and then die? And he would say to them, are you working right now? And they would say, well, no. And he would say, well, you've got to be really careful what you tell yourself, because you're telling yourself you work all the time, but in this moment you're not working. And I wonder how many other moments stretched together aren't working. So when you start to have those thoughts around, is this all I'm supposed to be doing? Ask yourself, what am I doing right now? To start to be an observer of the thoughts, because basically what we're trying to do is disconnect. It's a part of yourself that's dying. When your ego dies, when there's some aspect of belief that you no longer have, quite literally a piece of you is dying. And maybe it's a piece that you want to let go of, but there's still going to be this grieving moment or some sort of tension. Not always. Sometimes you just go, oh, that makes perfect sense. And you get this, like, graceful knowing. But a lot of times there's going to be some sort of fight to hold on to it. So ask yourself, get really clear on what you're doing. But they do say that it would be helpful for you to carve out some specific time that is just for you. And what I just heard in my head was, what would I possibly even do with that time? Or I couldn't possibly like disconnect without thinking about, what's going on here and what's going on there. So start with small bursts. Maybe it's like 5 minutes in the morning and a 5 minute breathing exercise in the evening. And the beauty is, if you're finding things that connect with your soul, again, we're looping back to the spiritual component, that connect with your soul. When you start to do them, you want more of it. So what seemed like a chore initially, like, oh, I've got to carve out 5 minutes. And there could be so many different things going through your mind. I don't deserve 5 minutes. I don't have 5 minutes. But we can find, like, another story that I remember from years ago was, I worked for a company that was all about mentoring, and they like to enmesh these relationships. It was a cult. It is a cult. It still exists, but so it was all about mentorship. But so you would have maybe two or three people, the higher you went up in the company, come into your office and say, "Could I have an hour of your time this week?" And initially, I would just give homework assignments. I'd say, if you can complete these 5 things this week, then I'll give you an hour of my time. Uh, but the example would be, let's say I got home today and my washer and dryer broke. Well, or even let's say your car broke down on the side of the road. And that week you ended up spending 15 hours going to the mechanics and then ultimately buying a new car. I can almost guarantee that you didn't have 15 minutes allocated at the beginning of the week, but you found it. So we make time for things that are important. And so it's kind of a really yummy place that you're at. And this is what I'll be clear on. When I say yummy, when you're in spots that are a little bit deeper emotionally, and when I say deeper, maybe a little bit darker, maybe a little less bright. And, like, even when you see folks that are just laughing together at a table, you're like, what could they possibly be laughing that hard at? Like, life isn't that funny. And so, or maybe like feeling very overwhelmed with responsibility, um, that uh, if you could find some time to carve out, so connecting, that's not where I was going. So in why I say this is a yummy place is, when you're in that darker space, these, like, the light will shine brighter as well. Like, when you're in a really happy place, to see something else happy isn't necessarily this, well, it's just, what I would do. I just feel a lot of excitement for you this year. I feel a lot of freedom for you this year, and I feel a lot of excitement. I feel a lot of exploration happening for you, even down to like trying on different clothes, like wearing like maybe a shorter skirt than you normally would, or like, wearing, again, maybe wearing a red lip. And again, you're trying these things on just to see what feels good for you. It doesn't mean you want to keep it forever, but it's like you're starting to get to a point where it's like, life is to be lived for me. And albeit I have this responsibility and a partner and I have a child, but like, this is supposed to be fun and not taken so seriously. And so if you could even get like a journal where you write down almost like a bucket list, but like things like even going on an hour-long road trip just to try this soup that you want to try. Again, I don't know, but just going on some adventures for you, would definitely connect you more to your soul, in the sense of like, How would that connect Nicola more to her soul? Okay. Where, where, how do I want to say this? Where unnecessary sadness can come from is a focus on our external world. Like, this isn't quite right, and this is too dirty. And again, it could be the bed isn't the right shape, and I really want a new couch, what have you. But as you very well know, all of that is fleeting. And that, when you are in a good place with your soul, it doesn't matter where you are, because you can make you can you know that the universe resides in you, and you can create anything anywhere. And so the more that you can start to connect with your intuition, with the heart space, with whatever that needs in the moment, that because whatever you're doing in the moment is going to be most important. That's what needs to be dealt with, not yesterday, not tomorrow, but in the moment. That is going to bring you joy, which is ultimately a high vibrational emotion, and it's going to connect you more to your soul and your life's purpose. What I get as well informationally is that there is something that you want to do spiritually. And when I say that, I mean, like, some people open up a tarot card shop, and some people open up, turn into life coaches, and some people go and volunteer. Again, there could be so many different ways that your soul expresses itself. But part of the reason that I will say maybe you haven't found that yet is because whether you realize it or not, you're healing things right now. And when I say healing, it's like, um, how do I want to describe this healing? Well, I can share some aspects for me, and these might be seem kind of silly, but like, and I'm not saying that you have to do any of these things, but these are some things that disconnected me from the physical world and had me go in. Um, I shaved my head, and that might sound really silly, but hair holds energy. And it was like I didn't care what anybody thought about the way that I looked anymore. And it was the most liberating thing. And I had it shaved for like 6 months. Sorry, my phone is ringing. Oop, decline. Um, the other thing that I did was, like, I would cry in public. Whenever I felt the need to cry, I would just cry. Versus before, I would be like, I don't want to, and I don't want these people to feel, out of place, or I don't want to make them feel a certain kind of way. There were just different things that I started living that were authentic for me, and it didn't matter about anything else. And so those are some pieces, even down to like, I don't know if you have a relationship with your mother and father, but they even describe, like, this is the story that I get is they show you packing up, you going over for dinner, and even just like thinking about what stories you want to share, because there's certain ones that you can't share. And it's almost like you're kind of curating a story so that it sounds a certain kind of way, that there can't be any type of judgment, or I'm just going to keep some of these pieces of the story, you know they don't need to know that part. And so those are the pieces that you're healing, that no matter who, like, I want to tell the story because I want to tell the story, not because I need to have some, mile marker story about the development of my child this week and how I played this, this heroic role in the development. Again, we have been programmed at such a young age to be these types of people, especially with familial relationships. So those are some components you're healing, because right now what they say associated to your that expression of the soul is that I definitely see it being an outlet. Trust me, in this lifetime, there will definitely be an outlet for you. It will manifest itself when you have less judgment on the way that it will look. You will be more open to the information coming through, even the imagery that you see. But just know that you're doing the work right now. You are 100% doing the work. You're not behind. You're not that, whenever you feel the need to be angry or feel the need to cry or what have you, you're cleaning up energy right now. But they also say that there's bits of information that come in, like ideas that you like, oh, that would be like, if I had the money, that would be really cool. Um, would you say that's
Yeah.
true?
Yeah, so I just want to write. If I could be a writer, that would be the best thing ever. And I've written one novel, and I got to the point where I tried so hard to get it published that I just gave up. And because of that, I've been blocked, and now I've had a daughter, and now the time is gone. Um, and yeah, that would be the main outlet. So I'm now looking at other paths because I don't know how I could continue with that as an outlet when it's not going to bring me an income. So
Ah,
I'm looking for something else that would be
cool.
spiritual.
Yep. And bring the income. Okay. So a
Yeah.
lot of information is coming through. So, and we may go, I know I said 30 minutes. We may go over a few minutes because I can just tell this information. Okay. What they would like you to do specifically with the writing, if that, I love that for you. They love that for you is, and I even have to remember it when I'm making these videos, that I make these videos because I want to, not because of how many people are
Yes.
going to watch this, or
Oh, I
again,
know.
so I have to be um, really intentional with that piece because my ego can go in a lot of different ways. Like, and I can start, curating these stories that aren't real or authentic, or, you know, presenting an image of myself that just might, like, to me is so easily a sham. I can see through it so easily. That's why I don't wear makeup when I go live. There's a lot of things that I do intentionally to keep my ego at bay. What they would like you to do
Brave. That's really
is,
brave.
oh,
When you said about hair, I'm just growing out to my natural color, and that's painful.
but
But
see,
I can't remember what it is. I've not seen it since I was about 12.
that's whether you see that or not, though, that's a component of healing. Do you see that?
Yeah, when you were saying it, I was like, oh, that's ironic.
Yeah. That's healing, right? That you're doing this for you and you want to see what the natural Nicola looks like. And again, you can dye it tomorrow. If all of a sudden you get a wild hair, honor that. But that would be, I would say, it would be a component of healing as well. Um, but for the writing, I could see you doing this. There is a gal that I met with. Her name's Dr. Samantha Cooper, and it's not that she's committed like on 5 days a week she does this, but I love them. She writes too, and she is a channel that way, and she sends out these like 500 word little vignettes a few times a week, like this, and again, I don't know what type of writing that you do, but it doesn't matter. This is what they're sharing. So one that she sent this week, uh, it was titled Free Hugs. Is there something you hate to do? Try making a game out of it to find ways to enjoy that experience rather than dreading it. If all else fails, throw a free hugs t-shirt and make the best of it. And then she writes like maybe a 5-minute thing. Even if you wrote fiction, I could see you, whenever you get those yummy juices going, and creating a following by just, whether it's a blog or even on like Instagram or something, or on YouTube, you go and read it. How does that resonate? How does that feel? Does
Yeah,
that get
that's really
exciting? Does
good.
that,
Yeah, it does. It is exciting, and it's a lot more manageable. I've thought about doing a blog in that sense, where I could send it out as a newsletter, and it would have to be fiction. I'm just so much better with that.
I love that.
But
Cause I
yeah,
mean,
that's definitely.
he's written hundreds of books. Yeah. Cause there's definitely, this is another image that I get, and I don't know where you live, but I see you like in a little cottage, like up on a hill. There's smoke coming out of the smokestack, and you're kind of wrapped up in your, like, I see specifically a scarf. You've got like a cup of tea, and you're getting ready to, like, it's like there's this life of solitude slightly, but there's still a town where you can go, and there's like a butcher shop, and there's, these access to resources. But I see kind of like a slightly solitude in life where you can just like be with spirit and write
When I
these
have the
things.
time to
Yeah.
write.
Yeah.
Yeah, I imagine myself like the typical English writer who's just a loner. That would be
Yeah.
lovely.
That's the same that I get as well. Yes. But it's so fun. You get all of these thoughts and ideas, and it feel like life is to be, the compass is how you feel. So if follow what brings you joy. So right now we're trying to figure out what can we do to carve out some time for Nicola to find the joy. So I would, and as I don't want to say as robotic as this sounds, but um, say I'm going to commit 15 minutes a day to myself for this. And the 15
Okay.
minutes may be like, I want to go get a new journal. I don't know. Again, I want to get a new pen. Maybe you get, like, for me, a new journal and a pen, it's orgasmic. The
This was you, Tiffany. But I've done what you said.
that. Oh, oh, I love
We
that.
all need a journal.
Oh, I love that. See, that's the thing too, that sometimes people, myself included, is like when we're doing the works, sometimes we forget to see the results, or like we don't see that we're evolving. Like, did you do that a year ago? Take that time?
No, no, I didn't. I literally this year was like, I need something like this that will take time, but it's going to give me clarity, and it
Yes.
has.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Because another aspect too, I see the writing, but do you draw ever?
Yeah, I do. I do like drawing.
Okay, because I see that for you too. I specifically see an easel, and you like looking out a window,
Oh,
and
okay.
and that bringing some
No,
joy
I
to.
don't explore that very much. It's more doodles for me, just for me. I wouldn't. Yeah, I've never thought of doing that.
Well, maybe that might be, again, you may put together this list and go like, I'm gonna go buy a canvas today, because I think you're going to be really surprised at what you're able to create. Um,
Oh,
Out of it, that just comes through you, because it's whether you realize. So this is what's so interesting. We're all so unique that we have these miraculous ways in which we show up, like how the gears all connect, but that's not how my gears
mhm.
connect. And so sometimes we take for granted these. You just have, there is a solitude component, but there's a very creative component. And I get it for you is like thoughts, almost like manic thoughts, where it's like, oh my god, that would be exciting, and then oh my god, like there's this yumminess, and it's like, I just got to get this information out. I that to me is spirit. That to me is being
Mhm.
connected. And so
Oh,
follow that as well, because that's unique to you.
yeah, but sometimes there's too much. Like I want to do all the things that pop into my head,
Yeah,
and there's a lot. Even when you get into spirituality, you're like, well, now I need to know everything about astrology. Now I need to know everything about
yeah,
healing.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
um,
yeah.
and that's where I've got this door that's just opened, and it's wild and it's really fun, but it's not bringing me an income, which is I would like to be leaving the school this year.
Yeah.
That's my goal.
Then put
Um,
that down.
as wonderful.
Then you can write that down and embody that too. So, but this is the thing that a lot of people, like I myself did this earlier this month, or this maybe it was last month, but I said I heard myself saying I don't want to be at this job forever. And through the law of attraction, it doesn't function under don'ts. So the universe heard, thank God I heard the thought, because I was like, holy shit, we've got to reorganize this really quickly, because I am manifesting my hell. And it's not hell. I love lovely people, and I'm able to live and do these things. But so what would that feel like not doing that? What's going to be in replace of that, so that the universe can start bringing that in for you and create those synchronicities. Because let's say you manifest not being there, but that you require that income, all of a sudden you're not there and you don't have that income. So we got to figure out another way for that energy to come through. But what I will say is this is for anybody listening, is, and it's hard for us to conceptualize this because we grow up in such logicized Western world, most of us. But is, if you follow your heart, if it's the writing, whatever it is, through a course of miracles, God will provide you everything that you need. And where we get caught up in is the doubt. We start to doubt that it's going to happen because it doesn't happen in the time that we think it's going to, or the way that we're asking for it isn't clear enough. And so they don't know how to put in the order. So for you, follow the heart piece, because then you're going to start saying, oh, okay, so, and what I mean by that is that, let's say you consistently start to put out writing once a week. You're like, oh, I can do this weekly. This is easy. Then you can start saying, all right, I want 50 more people to read my writing this week. And I want to partner with a sponsor. Again, I don't know what that is, but the way in which that money can manifest, because anything is monetizable. There literally, there's people that just eat hot things on YouTube. You know what I mean? Like anything can be monetized, really, right? And so if you listen to that ignited fire and passion, then more of the picture will become clear and more miracles can happen associated to your experience in life. Does that help?
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I need to clear my brain a little bit more and not always be so logical, I think, and practical.
Well, but it's the way that we were raised, and a lot of times we bring in energies that even like if that, let's say that that's a really big part of your life's purpose, like stepping into the heart, and deconnecting from that masculine side. Maybe you spent many lifetimes recently as a man, and so maybe incarnating and touching and being in touch with that feminine side is a little bit more difficult for you. And then you find you pick parents who are going to amplify this disconnect with the heart, and so that we have this like double compulsion to go into the brain. And so that's why we pick that life. And so especially if you don't think you're going to incarnate again, right? If this is like the last hurrah, it may be that you're going out with like really being stretched in this lifetime. And so just know that uh, Spirit just said, connect why you're saying this is just to give you some more, um, just know that uh, you don't need to do anything in any moment, and that you're already embodying these changes. Just know that they're happening whether you realize it or not. Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you. I need that permission. Thank you.
Yes, of course.
So good.
Or we are over on time. Is there a specific question that we did not get answered, or maybe we touched on that you want some more clarity on that I could help with right now?
It was just more my sort of channeling ability.
Okay.
I'm just really struggling with connecting. Is there any ways that Spirit can tell me that I can practice? I know we have obviously just discussed some options.
Yep. It's okay, buttermilk. Okay, yes. So grounding yourself. So we just talked about being in the head, identifying with the thoughts, identifying with ego, being rooted in this experience. And that may be preparing a really nice meal for yourself. That may be going on a walk. That could be taking a really nice long bath. But finding things that ground you in this human body, that ground you, which, by the way, having a child will do that for you. I mean, they are in the moment, right? Like where they are is right. Like you are in a moment, right? Like there's no, and of course you can go daydream, but really they're present in a moment. So kids are excellent at doing that. But what I would say is finding the things in your life that don't bring happiness and learning how to transmute those. And it could even be a closet. If there's a closet in your house that's just full of stuff, that every time you walk past it, you get frustrated or annoyed, tackle that. Because the more energy is flowing around you as well, the more you are going to be in flow and the more grounded you're going to be. So there may even be some things like in your outside world that need to get moved around, or cleaned or donated or tossed. Because then it'll allow you to actually be present in your body as well. Like, cool, you want to go meditate, but you've got a sink full of dishes and clothes everywhere. Of course you can do it, but it's going to be a little bit easier if you gave yourself 15 minutes to just get that area picked up, maybe a candle or an incense lit before you went into your meditation practice. So finding things that are going to ground you, finding things that you find your ego obsessing on and going, what about this am I obsessing about? And what can I do in order to essentially put to rest my fixation on that? Because that will get you connected. And then continue to allow the healing to happen. That's going to, whether you realize it or not. I look back and no joke, because I started discerning my dreams in 2020, and I was like, okay, so I'm in this channel. where's this channeling? And it was probably a year and a half, maybe 2 years later. And because I was crying. I had so many things that I needed to get reorganized in my life. And so it'll happen for you before you know it. But I had to take care of myself and find joy in the experience of being a human and healing. And then all of a sudden, my gifts just started working as well. So I think you're just in a season of healing and cleaning up energetically, um, which with time you're going to look back and be like, oh, that makes so much sense. But I get when we want it in the
Yeah.
moment, we want it now. Let's see here. What else? The writing is going to help you connect. Drawing is going to help you connect. Being in nature, like just being out on a walk, they said that you get these hits, so that will be
Mm-hmm.
as well. And then also they're sharing as well, this is like not comparing. So I'm going to say this in a negative statement, but then I'm going to rework it as a positive. So excuse me, not comparing what your gifts look like to others. And so how we would do that would be um, having honor and pride in the way that you are as a human and the uniqueness of you, and having a lot of gratitude in that, and that you are special and unique and your DNA has never existed before. And that will also help as well. Um, and just knowing that it is accessible to you at any time. And so, letting go of a story that somehow my healing needs to take 6 months, or somebody else did this therapy and it took them whatever amount of time. Just know that, continue to allow yourself to feel what you need to feel. But I get that there's going to be some sort of expedited track for you. Like if you were to start your writing and doing what feels good, that it's kind of like, okay, I'm going to give this example, but like some author or, writer being stumbling across your work and saying, I want to work with you, like some sort of miracle like that happening. But you've got to get into a practice where you would be doing the writing even if that editor or that writer didn't see the work. So
Mm-hmm.
is there
I know
anything?
that, and that's what I want. I
Okay,
really want that.
okay.
Just to be able to enjoy it and not feel like, oh, I'm doing this to get another job done because I know it's something I should be doing and want to do.
That's so beautiful. Like, that's so beautiful. Again, you're just, I think you don't see how evolved you are, and that yeah, you're just you're not the same person you were even a year ago. So just know that your essence is obviously still
Yeah.
there. But is there anything else with Nicola's channeling? Is there anything else? They're bringing up food, so I don't know what's going on with the food. What's going on with the food? Okay, would you describe your eating habits as like sporadic? Like, do you eat
Yeah.
regularly, or is it more kind of like when I can get it in?
Yeah. No, it's eat whatever I can find around me when I'm hungry, and then my husband feeds me my good meals.
Okay, okay,
Other than that, I'm terrible. I just snack because I'm hungry and I don't feed myself.
okay, because that's what I see is literally like you picking up your daughter and like having like a piece of food in your mouth, like trying, like you're doing a lot of different things at once. So let me see. They just brought that up. So, and we're talking about your gift. So let's see here. Oh, okay. How they're describing it is taking time to prepare a meal or even to eat a meal will also help you connect with them more too.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. That will
Yeah.
have,
I know food is a huge part of it.
yeah. Yeah. So just, um, yeah, like carving out time if you have it to do that. Yeah. Yeah.
I do
Um,
have it. I do have it.
I love that. Yeah. That's something I have to tell myself is I have so much time. I have so much time.
Yeah.
Even if I don't believe it, I have so much time. All right, Spirit,
I'm
is there
glad it's
any,
not just me.
yeah, you have 28 hours in the day. Um, let's see here. Is there any final questions? Your spirit team, and I just get a lot of angelic energy that's coming through. So there may be an opportunity for you to try to connect with the angels and get really quiet and see what that connection feels like. I will tell you it's a lot deeper. That's not true. Stronger. The feeling is a lot stronger than when I'm just traditionally channeling. It's like, holy fucking shit. My body is vibrating. It is so warm. I feel like I'm going to get taken
Yeah.
somewhere. Yeah. So there's just a different feeling. But so they just keep saying that we love you. They are so proud of you. They're here for you as well. So like maybe talk to them more. I don't know if that's the type of, or, share your burdens, share what your desires are, and just continue. Even if you're not necessarily getting in that moment a response, they're with you. So just know that. Okay. Yep. And they love you so much. So there is your reading, my dear.
Oh, thank you so much, Tiffany. This was my pleasure. I'm so happy that you're doing this, and
Yeah.
I've been watching them all, and I'm just very lucky that you have agreed to do this with me. So thank you. I will take everything on board,
You're so
and I
welcome.
wish you so much success. I really do.
Mm, I will take that. I'll take that. Yeah. I used to just, this is going to sound kind of morbid, but looked forward to death, and not in like a suicidal way, but just like, oh, life is so heavy. I hope I don't live past like
Mm-hmm.
70. And now I'm like, I hope I get to be 120. Like life is so much more blissful these days. So I totally feel that. I'm excited. I'm in, we're all in, right? Our cards are all in this lifetime. So may as well make the best of it.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, my dear. And Happy New Year to you.
Thank you. Happy New Year.
Yeah. And and I want to say to everybody listening, I'm getting better at this. This doesn't feel authentic. I'm going to speak it anyway, but I may not. If you found pleasure in this video, will you please hit like and subscribe? Yeah, see, that just doesn't do it for me. I just can't do that. So, at any rate, I do have on Sunday, I love it. On Sunday, it's going to be me going live. Traditionally, I've been having different people join me, but this Sunday it's going to be me. And what I'm specifically going to be chatting about is friendship. I don't know. That's just a theme that just keeps coming up. I see it in other people and these relationships, and understanding the definition of friend, the essence of a friend, and how to work through some different maybe conditions that you may be experiencing in relation to friends. One of my favorite quotes are friends are God's way of taking care of us. And I couldn't be, I just love that so much. So join me on Sunday. It is going to be at 10 o'clock Pacific time. I don't know how that translates to everybody else, but I would love to see you there. We'll see you later, folks. Bye.